Chapter 8. Hours later, Darcy stared up at the ceiling of her bedroom, rehashing what happened at Coop's. The house had grown dark and quiet, the room strangely fuzzy, when she heard a voice. "You're going to have to find your path, Angel Cake," a familiar voice whispered. "Not everyone is going to like it, but that's okay. It's your path, not theirs." "Grandma?" Darcy turned to see her grandmother sitting at the foot of her bed, her eyes sparkling like stars in the dark bedroom. "It won't be easy. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes people will say you're making a mistake, even your family and friends. I remember how confused I was, and I didn't have half the choices you have. So many choices." "I don't know what to choose, Grandma." Darcy found herself whispering back in a sleepy haze. "You will. You got time. You're still getting started. Just remember who you are and where you come from. Do that, and you'll make this world better no matter what path you choose, and you'll make me proud." Grandma was a silhouette at the edge of her bed, her form so light Darcy couldn't feel any pressure or weight on the mattress. "But Tarah, she hates me now. I messed up with her." "Oh, you two will figure it out. We all go through rough patches. Friends got to tell each other the truth. Listen to hers and tell her yours, and you'll be all right." For a second, it felt like old times when Darcy was young and Grandma would sit on the edge of the bed and chat about the day and whatever was on her mind. It had been years since they talked this way, and yet it was happening again. How? "How are you here, Grandma?" Darcy asked. Her grandmother seemed to turn to her in the dark, the way she had done countless times when she wanted to make a point. "How? I never left, Angel Cake, but now get some sleep." "Wait, Grandma!" Darcy sprang up from her bed, her heart pounding as she reached out to where her grandmother had been sitting. "Wait!" But Grandma was gone, the house silent. Shadows blanketed her room. The space where Grandma had been seconds earlier was a void in the darkness. Darcy realized she must have fallen asleep, but she didn't feel as if she had been dreaming. Had Grandma really been there? Darcy rubbed her eyes and grabbed her phone off the mattress. The clock said it was 3:22 a.m. The words 3 new messages glowed in the darkness. She hoped to see texts from Tarah apologizing for what she had said. Maybe there was some way they could both take back the ugly words and undo the damage they caused, though Darcy didn't know how. Friends got to tell each other the truth, Grandma had said. But that's what Tarah did, Darcy realized, and it had all but killed their friendship. The truth is, Darcy, you're selfish. All you care about is your stuff. You ain't got time for nothing else. Tarah's words clawed at Darcy in the dark. As much as she knew Tarah had been unfair, she also knew she had been right, or at least partly right. And in the solitude of her quiet bedroom, that truth stung like an open wound. Darcy swiped her phone to read the texts. They were all from Hakeem. "OMG, Darce. Coop just told me what happened. Call me," he texted at 11:15 p.m. The second text came at 11:32. "Where are you? You okay? Tarah is cray and wrong." A final message had arrived just after midnight. "So tired. Long day. Gotta go to bed. Working tomorrow until closing. I smell like popcorn. Never want to see butter sauce again. Talk later. Hope you're okay. Heart." Darcy reread the messages a few times before responding, sleepiness tugging at her in the heavy silence. "Do you think I'm selfish?" she began to write, but then deleted the message. Instead, she sent Hakeem a thumbs-up emoji followed by a sleep emoji before dropping her phone, the events of the day playing in her mind uneasily as she drifted back to sleep. Tap, tap, tap. Darcy heard the urgent knocking on her bedroom door before she had even opened her eyes. "Darcy!" Mom called from the hallway. "You up?" "Sort of," she groaned, wincing against the sunlight that streamed through her window. Her phone said it was almost 9 o'clock. "Is something wrong?" "No, nothing's wrong. I just decided to visit Grandma this morning, and I wanted to know if you'd like to come." "Visit Grandma?" "Yeah. I think it's time we went to the cemetery. It's been 4 months since she passed. We haven't been there as a family since a week after the funeral. I need to go, and I wondered if you want to go too." Darcy glanced at the spot where her grandmother appeared the night before. In the daylight, her room seemed different, as if the moment with Grandma had never happened. Of course, it had been a dream, she told herself. It had to be. But the fact that Mom was choosing to visit the cemetery only hours later struck her as strange. Were the two connected? "Yeah, I'll go," Darcy agreed. "Me too," Jamie hollered in the distance. The ride in the car was quiet as Dad drove first to Superfoods and picked up a small bunch of flowers and then headed north toward Eternal Valley Memorial Park where Grandma was buried. Jamie sat wedged against the corner of the back seat opposite Darcy, her eyes concealed by oversized silvery sunglasses. The only reason Darcy knew she was awake was that her fingers darted across her phone from the moment she sat down. "Who are you texting?" Darcy asked finally as they neared the cemetery. "Des," Jamie said, tilting her phone for Darcy to see. "He's on Snapchat." "You two are talking again?" "Not really, but after last night, I had to set the record straight. Now he knows what happened and why we were so late, and why Tarah was wrong to go off on you like that," Jamie explained. There was something new in her voice, a sound Darcy hadn't heard before. She seemed almost protective. "I don't need you fighting battles for me," Darcy said as Dad turned the car into the entrance of the cemetery. "But thank you." "What battles? Something happened between you and Tarah?" Mom asked, peering at her through the rearview mirror. Darcy could see her hands were resting on her swollen belly. "Nothing," Darcy said, perfectly in time with Jamie. "Did you hear that?" Dad asked, his eyes wide open in an exaggerated expression of surprise. "Did they just agree on something? That never happens." "Yeah, it makes me wonder what they're hiding," Mom replied as Dad parked the car. "It's fine," Darcy insisted. "We're not hiding anything." But even as she spoke, Darcy wondered if what Jamie texted would reach Cooper too. If so, Tarah would know it soon, Darcy figured. Maybe she was learning it right now. "Mm-hmm," Mom mumbled. She pursed her lips and nodded as if she didn't believe Darcy, but was willing to let it go. Darcy watched as Mom's eyes shifted toward the rolling fields that now surrounded them. They both took a deep breath before opening the car door. A grassy grid of headstones, crosses, and granite plaques stretched out in front of them, wider than Bluford's football field. Darcy felt her stomach tighten as she remembered the afternoon months ago when she stood in the same spot under the hot sun with Hakeem and their friends and watched as her grandmother was lowered into the ground. The memory sent a tremor through her body as she and Jamie followed their parents over the small rise that led to Grandma's grave. Dad clutched the flowers in one hand and reached out with the other to steady Mom as they walked. Darcy noticed that her mother moved more slowly than usual, as if each step required extra effort. She had grown used to seeing her mother's weariness in recent days, but this walk was different, as if invisible weights rested on her shoulders, making each step forward difficult. "Geez, she almost reminds me of Grandma right now," Jamie murmured, shoving her cell phone in her jeans as they neared the gravesite. Darcy could see what Jamie meant. Their mother looked bent and fragile, as though she was much older than she really was. "I don't know how she's going to do it." "What do you mean?" "Make her choice," Jamie explained under her breath so only Darcy could hear. "I mean, whatever she does is just wrong, you know? It's not fair." Darcy nodded. She had felt the same way whenever she thought of her mother. To have the baby could lead him to a world of suffering, but to end the pregnancy would never give him a chance. But what chance would that be? Darcy didn't know. No one did. It was an awful choice that no one should have to make. A deeply personal decision that Darcy realized rested mainly on Mom. It reminded Darcy of Grandma's words the night before. "It's not going to be easy. Sometimes it's lonely. Sometimes people will say you're making a mistake." "Maybe that's why we're here," Darcy blurted after a few seconds. "Huh?" Jamie asked. "Maybe Mom needs to talk to Grandma. You know, like we used to do." "I still do that," Jamie confessed. "I know it sounds silly." "No, it doesn't. I do it too," Darcy said as they approached the tree near Grandma's grave. You do? I thought I was the only one, Jamie whispered, sounding relieved. I did last night, Darcy admitted. For real? Darcy nodded. It felt strangely comforting to speak of Grandma as if she were still alive, still involved with them somehow. I never left, Angel Cake. The words echoed in Darcy's mind. Up ahead, her parents had stopped. They stood in the second row of stones in this quiet corner of the graveyard, a spot where the grass hadn't yet fully grown, the wound in the earth still visible. But you did, Grandma. You did leave us, Darcy thought, looking down at the granite plaque and the etched words that were more real than anything. Annie Luella Duncan. Mom sat down in front of the grave and tenderly touched the stone. Dad rubbed her back and placed the small bundle of flowers on the ground. After a moment, Darcy sat beside her, and Jamie followed. Overhead, a gentle breeze whispered, but for a while no one spoke. I felt like I had to include her, Mom said, breaking the silence, her voice quivering slightly. She would want to know what's happening, and she would want to help. You all know that's how she was. Darcy nodded along with everyone else. Mom's eyes welled, but no tears fell as she continued. I'm a nurse because of her. She taught me to work hard and to help people, and I do it every day because of her, and most days I love it. She supported me when things got rough, moving in with us when we needed help, Mom said, her voice growing stronger as she talked, as if she was finding her footing with each word. What's happening isn't right. It feels like the toughest decision I've ever had to make. I can't speak for no one else, and I wouldn't tell anyone what to do in this situation. Mom paused and then continued. But for me, I'm a nurse. I know how to care for people, and I know good doctors. And from the start, I was scared, but I wanted this child. Carl, I know you did too. I know how much love you had for him. Darcy watched her father wipe his eyes, though they remained locked on Mom as if he was hanging on her every word. Maybe it doesn't make sense. I don't want to burden you girls or make your lives more difficult in any way, and I certainly don't have all the answers, but I have one. I want this baby, Carl. I want to have him. Dad leaned forward as if he suddenly lost strength. He nodded, and his forehead came to rest against Mom's shoulder, as if she were holding him up. The two embraced, and as Darcy watched, she knew in her heart that she agreed with her mother's choice. She reached forward to her parents, and their arms, heavy and warm, enveloped her. Darcy felt Jamie join them, a little late and maybe less certain, but she was there. And Darcy knew, she could feel it in her bones, that Grandma was there too.